Hello, everybody. Welcome to World Religions online for the spring term at Mount San Antonio College. And my name is Dr. Andrea Diem, and it's a pleasure to teach this class with you this semester. And I'm excited that you're part of it. So I wanted to just for a few minutes briefly walk you through the class dynamics and how it's set up. And I want you to know very clearly that my job this semester is to be available for you. Any questions you have, any concerns you have, please email me or use what I have set up a help forum for you to utilize, and you can ask questions there. I check it every day, several times a day. I also try to get involved with the class in terms of the discussion board, and I like the class to feel like it's not just an online class, but very interactive, lots of conversations, and so feel most free to utilize the forums that I set up to give that classroom environment. Okay, so to begin with, how the class is set up. So the class is set up as part 1 and part 2. And part 1 concentrates on an introduction to religion. And we ask questions like, what is religion, and where it came from, and how to study it, and where it's going. So fundamental basic questions. And then we really focus on the Eastern religions in part 1. And the Eastern religions, there are several of them, and a lot of them are from India. So we have Hinduism and Jainism, and Buddhism and Sikhism, and all 4 of those are from India. So it's really focusing on Indian philosophy, and a little bit of Chinese philosophy we also cover. And then we move to part 2 of the semester, and part 2 of the Western religions and the 3 Western religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And so, and most people don't realize, and part of this class you'll learn this, is that Islam has deep theological and historical connections to Judaism and Christianity. It is indeed a Western religion. Okay, so how the class is set up is part 1 and part 2, as I mentioned, and it's set up with lesson plans. And there's 12 lesson plans, and we cover 6 in part 1, and then we cover 6 in part 2. And at the end of part 1, I call it midterm time, but it's not really a big midterm exam where you have a cumulative test or anything. It's where all of your hard work for the first 4 weeks is then tallied up, and you have what's called a midterm grade. So each 2 lesson plans, there is a quiz. And every lesson planned, there is a post question. And so all of that work then gets tallied up, and you have kind of an understanding of how you're doing in the class by week 4, and it's before the drop date. So you have a very clear understanding of your status. And then for part 2, the same thing. So your final exam is not really an official final. It's rather tallying up your points, and you respond by giving me what's called final feedback responses, which doesn't take much time to complete, giving me some feedback of what you learned in the class. So that's how the class is set up with lesson plans. And again, 12, 6 for part 1, 6 for part 2. And then the quizzes that I mentioned are all on Canvas, so you do not have to come to campus. The entire course is set up online for you. In terms of the reading and in terms of what materials you need for the class, you basically need the internet, you need a computer. Some students try to take this class without internet ability or access, and that does not work at all. Sometimes students in the past have tried to take the class from China. That's a little very challenging because of internet restrictions there, so that will not work either. But other than that, you could be anywhere in the world and taking this class as long as you have a computer. All of the material is available to you for free. I do offer some of the readings as hard copies that you'd get on Amazon, and also as Audible readings on audible.com. And so those readings you could either get free as a PDF, or if you want to hold a hard copy, or if you want to listen to it, which I highly, highly recommend. It's fabulous to have somebody read to you, and then you could go jogging, you can drive your car, you can have a lot of freedom as somebody's reading that work to you. And so you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. So just to let you know that you could pursue the class completely free if you wanted to go that direction. And in terms of a research project, there is 1 research project. It is worth 10% of your course grade. It's very essential. It's mentioned in the course catalog as a required assignment, and that is to visit a world religion. And a world religion outside of your umbrella religion, and a lot of students have very, very little familiarity with the Eastern religions. So that's where the assignment focuses on the Eastern religions. And in your local area, we have Hindu temples, Buddhist temples, Sikh temples, a Jain temple in Buena Park some students visit. So there's a lot of options to you. And I encourage you to go with classmates. You could set up a class field trip. The students did that this last winter, and a lot of them went together. And then you take pictures of yourself there, you tour, you visit some service that they're having, and then you write up your report. It's not a hard assignment. It just requires you to dedicate a couple hours out of one weekend. So I think that I've walked you through a lot of the class. Again, midterm and final is not an official exam, but an accumulation of your work. And when you open up the class on Canvas, it should be pretty clear. The first thing you want to do is go to the modules, because in the modules, the whole class week by week is set up. I have part 1 up. I do not have part 2 up yet because I didn't want to overwhelm. I thought better to work in segments like that. When you open up a lesson plan, you'll see that the lesson plans are always set up the same. It's always set up with a professor's notes and mini lecture that I give. And then it goes to the required readings, and then the required film watching, and then there's a post question. And that post question is about a page long in your response. And then I encourage students to read each other's posts and respond back to each other. And those are called PI posts. PI is my acronym for participation, interaction, and effort. And you could get PI credit a lot of ways. You could read your classmates' posts and respond and dialogue back with them. Or you could share something with the class about world religions, like a new article, a new film you watched, and write up a paragraph about it and your thoughts on it. So there's a lot, or a current event that happens in world religions. So there's really a lot of ways, and in this syllabus, I walk you through that. The first thing I'd like you to do at the start of this class is read the syllabus very, very thoroughly. Understand how the class is set up, and then proceed to lesson plan 1. If you have any questions whatsoever, I am available in the help forum, and I'd like to welcome everybody to this online world religions course. Namaste.